Welcome back to Motivation Library, everyone. Today, we're diving into a book with a title that, well, it definitely raised a few eyebrows around here. A Gold Digger's Guide, How to Get What You Want Without Giving It Up by Baje Fletcher.
Oh, yeah. I can only imagine. When you sent me this one, I was definitely curious.
Absolutely.
If
It's like, is this a book about finding a rich partner, or
Yeah.
is it more about, like, financial independence?
Right.
Thankfully, the subtitle kind of gives us a clue,
Yeah.
how to get what you want without giving it up. But
Even before we get into it, there's a disclaimer right at the start. All names have been changed. I smell a juicy story.
ooh, intriguing. So
Yeah.
where should we start unpacking this for our listeners?
Well, I think the dedication sets the tone. It's to Baje's mom, Demiqua, Danielle, and all women who need motivation. Right off the bat, you get this sense of,
Mhm.
female empowerment that carries through the whole book.
Mhm.
Yeah. And I think what's interesting about that is it speaks to a universal need for motivation, right? Like, regardless of your background or your circumstances. It suggests that the author's message is intended to resonate with a wide range of women.
Absolutely. And that message is loud and clear. You can get what you want and be what you want without sacrificing your body.
Yeah.
She was advocating for really, knowing your worth,
Yeah.
setting goals,
Yeah.
and going after them fiercely.
Yeah. And it's really, that flips the script on the traditional narrative that we often see, don't you think? Which is often limiting women's aspirations. It's about taking control, defining success on your own terms, and without compromise.
Let's talk about that.
Mhm.
Attention-grabbing title, Gold Digger.
Baje dives right into how that term is often used as a way to shame women, to discourage them from expecting financial support, almost like reverse psychology being used, not just by men, but even by other women sometimes. Interesting. And that's where I think the author's redefinition of gold digger comes in.
Right.
She's reclaiming that term, turning it on its head. It's not about using your looks to get money. It's about setting financial goals and strategically achieving them.
And one of the first steps that she suggests is creating a wish list. Now, this isn't your typical holiday wish list, right?
Yeah.
She encourages readers to write down everything they want, bills they need to pay, material things, dream trips,
Yeah.
even specific people they want to meet.
It's interesting how she connects the act of writing it down to actually achieving financial freedom. These aren't just frivolous desires, they're actually tools to help you envision and build a self-sufficient lifestyle.
She emphasizes that. The act of writing it down is powerful in itself. It makes those desires more tangible and helps you move from, vague wishes to concrete goals.
Yeah. So it's not just manifesting, it's really about consciously defining what you want and taking those first steps.
Yeah.
So it's a practical approach to goal setting, even if it seems really simple on the surface.
And then she goes on to introduce some pretty creative techniques to actually get those wish list items without breaking the bank. One that caught my eye and made me chuckle a little bit was the double up technique. Imagine booking a first-class flight and then downgrading to coach at the last minute and keeping the difference.
That's pretty clever, but it raises some questions about navigating systems that are often, designed to favor certain groups, right? Is it ethical? Is it risky? I'd love to hear what our listeners think about that one.
I know, right? It's definitely pushing boundaries. But Baje frames it as a way to level the playing field. It's about using your smarts and resourcefulness to get ahead in a world where women are often at a disadvantage.
Yeah, it's a reminder that sometimes bending the rules can be a form of empowerment, right? But of course, it's always important to consider your own ethical boundaries and the potential consequences.
Now, listener, think about your own travel goals. Could you pull off a double up? Even if you wouldn't try it, it gets you thinking outside the box, right?
It definitely challenges you to be more creative and resourceful in finding ways to achieve your goals, even if it means thinking of unconventional solutions.
And speaking of thinking differently, Baje has some insightful advice on how to identify potential. Sponsors for your goals. She uses this really interesting analogy. Picture life as a stadium.
Okay, I'm picturing a stadium. What's the connection there? Is she talking about finding mentors or
So-
investors?
Well, it's more about understanding the different types of people you'll encounter on your journey to success. She talks about owners, the ones with the wealth, players, the ones who entertain, and coaches, the ones with connections and knowledge. It's about observing their actions, understanding their motivations, and learning how to navigate those relationships strategically.
So it's about social intelligence, being able to read people, understand their roles, and how to leverage those relationships to get closer to your goals.
And once you're in those circles, you need to fit in. You don't have to fake it until you make it. Baje emphasizes the importance of style, etiquette, and presence.
Now, I find this part a bit tricky. I get the idea of presenting your best self, of course, but doesn't faking it contradict authenticity in some way? How can you be true to yourself while also adapting to different social contexts?
Yeah, it's definitely a balancing act. Bache acknowledges that. She's not saying to completely change who you are, but to be aware of the image you're projecting and how that can impact your success.
Yeah, I suppose it's about being intentional and strategic in how we present ourselves, but at the same time, staying true to our own values.
And it's not just about appearances. Bache even has a technique called the cheap test to quickly determine a man's willingness to spend money. The key is in the opening question: what kind of men do you like?
Okay, I'm all ears. How does that simple question reveal anything about someone's spending habits?
Well, she advises, describing your ideal man as generous. This way, if the guy you're talking to doesn't identify with that quality, you know right away that he's probably a cheapskate.
Ah, that's actually pretty brilliant. It's a subtle way to gather information without directly asking about finances, which can be a little awkward.
It lets them reveal their values
Yeah.
without feeling like they're being interrogated.
Yeah, very clever.
Now, while the book encourages women to be bold and pursue what they want, Bache also offers a really important cautionary message. She dedicates a whole chapter to "don't get caught up," specifically warning against dating married men.
Right.
She emphasizes the emotional risks involved
Hmm.
and the potential dangers of getting entangled in a complicated situation.
Yeah, and she's not just talking about what not to do. She also offers practical advice on how to, dig safely. One tip that really stood out, even though it was a little unsettling, was the forensics tip. Leave a strand of hair or fingerprints as evidence if things go wrong.
Yeah, it definitely sounds like something out of a spy movie. But it speaks to the very real risks involved and the importance of prioritizing your safety above all else.
Yeah, no matter what you're pursuing, listener, remember, your safety always comes first. Speaking of things to prioritize, Bache introduces a concept that I think is really crucial for building long-term wealth, and that's the idea of ass versus asset.
Ooh, I like that. Tell us more about that.
Well, it's about understanding the difference between short-term gains and building lasting financial security. She really wants women to move away from relying on others and instead focus on building wealth through smart investments, owning assets that appreciate in value.
So it's not just about attracting money, it's about understanding how money works and how to make it work for you.
Exactly. It's about shifting your mindset from a consumer to an investor. And to achieve that, Baje dives in some really practical advice on building credit, budgeting, saving, investing. She even suggests using 20% of your income for savings and investments.
Wow. That's a good rule of thumb. It definitely requires discipline. It makes you think about your own financial habits, right?
Yeah.
Are we spending wisely? Are we setting ourselves up for the future?
Yeah, it's a great reminder that financial literacy is a journey. There's always room for improvement we can all benefit from. Taking a closer look at our spending habits and making sure we're prioritizing our long-term financial well-being.
So we've covered a lot of ground already, from wish lists to double ups to the ass versus asset concept. But I'm really curious to learn more about Bache's personal story and how her experiences kind of shaped the advice she offers in the book.
Yeah, that's a great point. She dedicates a chapter to her own journey, aptly titled A Diamond in the Rough. And it's a fascinating glimpse into her life, moving between Brooklyn and Jamaica, facing family struggles, and ultimately achieving success.
It sounds like a compelling story. Does she talk about specific challenges she faced or moments that really defined her path?
She does. She opens up about her parents' separation, being sent to live with relatives in Jamaica as a child, and witnessing the effects of poverty and violence firsthand. And those early experiences really shaped her worldview and instilled in her this fierce determination to create a better life for herself.
It's incredible how those early challenges can really fuel our drive and ambition. Did those experiences directly influence her approach to gold digging?
Absolutely. She talks about always having big dreams, even as a young girl, and working hard to achieve them, despite facing setbacks along the way. And she doesn't shy away from sharing some of her less glamorous experiences either.
What kind of experiences are we talking about? Did she encounter any difficulties or dangers while navigating this world?
She talks candidly about encounters with men who took advantage of her situations that put her safety at risk and the emotional toll of constantly having to be on guard. It's a reminder that this path isn't always easy or glamorous, and it requires a certain level of resilience and street smarts.
It adds a layer of complexity to the narrative, doesn't it? It's not just about achieving material success. It's about navigating a complex social landscape with its own set of risks and challenges.
Exactly, and it's those challenges that led her to develop the safety tips and strategies that she outlines in the book. She wants to empower other women to be aware of those risks and avoid the pitfalls that she encountered.
Now, speaking of challenging experiences, One event that generated a lot of buzz was her appearance on the Dr. Dill show.
Yeah.
She even dedicated a whole chapter to it. What was her take on that experience?
Well, she titled the chapter Thoughts on the Dr. Dill Show, which kind of says it all. She felt misrepresented by the show and claims that the producers edited out key parts of her story, including her awareness of a decoy situation that they set up.
A decoy, what do you mean?
Apparently, they hired an undercover NFL player posing as a limousine driver to see if she would be swayed by his wealth and status. She saw right through it and even called him out as a decoy on camera, but that part was edited out of the final episode.
Wow, that's pretty manipulative. It seems like they were trying to portray her as a stereotypical gold digger rather than letting her present her own perspective.
That's exactly how she felt. She was frustrated that her message of empowerment and financial independence was overshadowed by the sensationalized narrative.
It's a reminder that media representations can be very selective and often reinforce existing stereotypes, even when they claim to be giving a platform to diverse voices.
Right. But despite feeling misrepresented, Baje also highlights the positive responses that she received from viewers who connected with her message of empowerment.
That's interesting. It shows how a single media appearance can generate both positive and negative reactions, highlighting the diverse interpretations and perspectives within the audience.
It also speaks to the power of authenticity, even when placed in a situation designed to undermine her message. Baje's genuine desire to empower women shone through and resonated with many viewers.
It's a reminder that people crave real stories and relatable experiences, especially when it comes to topics like money and ambition, which are often shrouded in secrecy and shame.
And let's be honest, the title, A Gold Digger's Guide, is anything but subtle, right? It's meant to grab your attention and challenge conventional thinking.
Definitely, it makes you wonder what's inside and whether it lives up to its provocative title.
Well, we've only scratched the surface in this deep dive. There's so much more to uncover, from specific investment strategies to those real-world anecdotes that make you both laugh and take notes.
Yeah, it's amazing how a personal story, even one filled with controversy, can resonate with so many people.
It really shows the power of authenticity, right? And that desire for relatable narratives, especially with topics like money and ambition, which can often feel a little taboo or even intimidating.
For sure. And Baje definitely doesn't shy away from those topics. A Gold Digger's Guide. Bold title. It certainly lives up to its promise to challenge conventional thinking.
I think what I appreciate most about the book is it goes beyond that surface-level advice and really dives into those practical steps for achieving financial independence, encouraging women to be proactive, take control of their financial future, and not rely on anyone else for their security.
Yeah. Baje's all about empowering women to build wealth, invest wisely, create a life of abundance on their own terms. It's like a roadmap for anyone who's tired of settling and ready to level up their financial game.
Totally. It's a reminder that achieving financial freedom isn't about luck or finding a wealthy partner. It's about knowledge, it's about strategy, and it's about that willingness to challenge the status quo.
So if you're ready to embrace your inner gold digger and rewrite your own financial story, I highly recommend checking out A Gold Digger's Guide for yourself.
It's a thought-provoking read for sure, and I'm sure it will spark some lively discussions and inspire you to take action.
And that's what we're all about here at Motivation Library, sparking those aha moments and giving you the tools to create the life you deserve. We hope you enjoyed this deep dive into A Gold Digger's Guide.
Don't forget to hit that like button and subscribe to our channel for more deep dives into inspiring books.
And be sure to leave a comment below telling us what resonated with you most from this episode. What are you going to try out in your own life? We love hearing from our savvy subscribers.
Thanks for joining us, and until next time, keep those goals high and your hustle strong.